Are you wanting to develop a superpower for yourself? Or let's just say that there's something in life that you want. Well, I'm going to share some secrets with you that hopefully help you to develop and create that superpower, or to have the path to go get the thing that you want. Okay, so follow along and we're going to break this down for you. If you like the video, make sure that you like it, comment, hit subscribe, go check us out on all the other socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever it may be. Okay, so let's talk about that. Developing your superpower, getting the superpower you actually want, and or getting the thing that you actually want. So let me break this down for you. What I want you to start with is I want you to start by thinking what it is, that thing that you want. What was it? What is it? Is it a superpower? Is it something specific in life? Okay? So give yourself a second to just think about that. What is it that you actually want? Okay? Now, I want you to hold on to that because we're going to come back to it. I want you to think of that almost as like a goal. In fact, if you want to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to leave a section at the top. And so give yourself like a bullet point, leave a section, and then down below, put my goal, what I want is, I want to do this. I want this superpower. I want this in life, whatever the thing may be. Okay? I want you to write that thing down. Now that we have that, the next question that we're going to dive into is, what is it going to take to get that thing? Okay? Think about that. What is it actually going to take to get that thing? Now, if you want to know deeper what that question is, and this is why I wanted you to leave a section at the top of the paper, is who do you need to be, or who do you need to become in order to have that superpower, or in order to have that thing that you desire? What do you need to be? Who do you need to be? All right? So at the top, I want you to think about that for a second. And I want you to just brainstorm a couple of ideas of who is it that you need to be in order to make that a reality. I'm sure you've heard the term, like, if you don't write the goal down, it's just a dream, which I believe is true. But I believe that one of the biggest issues we have when we're setting goals is that we don't actually paint the picture of who do we need to be or who do we need to become in order to achieve that goal. And then we don't break it down and set a true SMART goal, which, coming from a corporate world back in the day, they talked about SMART goals all the time, and I laughed at them. I was like, yeah, whatever. And I've now truly found the value in them. So we're going to talk about those here in a bit. The big thing is, though, that if we don't think about who we want to be or who we want to become, we kind of just move throughout the world thinking that these things are going to happen. I wrote it down. I wrote the goal down. Doesn't that mean these things should happen? It's more likely that it's no longer a dream. Well, that's not the case. It doesn't always happen that way. So who do you want to be? All right. Now, in order to think about that, who do I want to be or who do I want to become? That's going to imply that there's change that's going to happen. You know, there are things that are going to have to change in your life. So you might want to write those down on that piece of paper beneath where you just were. So answering the question of who do you need to be? Well, that's a little tricky. I don't know if you know this, but you are not the same today as you were yesterday, as you were last week, as you were last month, last year, last decade, whatever it may be. You're constantly changing. And you have some of your core programming that's there, but you're still changing daily based off of your core programming, how you're moving about the world, and the things that are happening to you, and how you respond and react to them. So since that's ever changing, we have to start to think about how we can make that be more united in yourself, and not split yourself out to be like, well, I need to be this person, I need to be that person. No, how do I make that I want to be this, I want to become this thing? So how do I do that? Now, in order to do that, you're probably going to need to do a little bit of self-reflection, which I talk a lot about on our YouTube channel and the videos that we do, and as we coach people through developing their superpowers and their gifts so they can take it out into the world and be impact makers. Like, what are those things? So self-reflect, and you're going to have to be honest with yourself, and you're going to have to be a little more open and transparent. Maybe you need someone to help you with this, but the idea is you need to think through what that could be. All right? So do some self-reflection. Now, you may want to do that after this video because you're not going to have time to probably really self-reflect in the period that this video happens. This is honestly one of the hardest things that you're going to do. And I only know that because I've had to do it myself more than once. And so having that experience, I can tell you that it very much will feel that way. You're going to feel like you're stuck, or maybe that you can't get to that thing you want. So just believe me, as you work through the things we're talking about, you'll start to notice that change and discover who it is that you need to be so that you can get the thing that you want. Okay? Now, I always talk about there's one really big thing that's going to get in the way. And I've got videos on this on the YouTube channel. The biggest thing that's going to get in your way of doing all this is going to be fear. Now, fear comes in many different shapes and sizes. It could be fear to take action. It could be fear like I talk about imposter syndrome, where you don't feel like you belong in the room or at the place or the thing that you're trying to do. Whatever that fear may look like for you, fear has a way of stopping us, no matter what it may be. It gets in our way. It's crippling in many cases. And fear can show up in a lot of ways. It can show up as a true fear. You can feel that anxiety, that tightness in the chest. Trust me, I've had those experiences. I've been there. And I'll tell you that there are some ways to work past it. You can check out some of the other videos, but we're going to talk through a couple of, just one quick thought that you can work through to help move you past that fear. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about one of those fears, one of those things that could get in the way. And if you're not thinking about it, you should take a second. You can pause the video if you need to and grab one of those things that it causes you fear in becoming who you need to be to get the thing that you want. While you're thinking about that, I want you to just envision fear itself. I mean, it does come in many sizes, but if we're trying to develop our skills, talents, and gifts to be superpowers, or we've identified something that we want in life, like fear is that thing that gets in the way. In the superpower, superhero reference, it's the thing, it's the villain of the story. It's your kryptonite, it's your weakness. It's gonna be there. Every superhero has it. Superman has his kryptonite, Batman is human and in his head and whatever it may be. So there's all sorts of things that get in people's way. They've got those things that prevent them, those superheroes. Well, in our world, it's gonna be things like fear. As you identify that fear, as you write it down, what I want you to think about is, where does that come from? When did I first notice it? What was the circumstance? How did I feel? What was happening around me and how did I feel that I started to notice that was a fear? And sometimes it's just identifying where it came from and being like, oh, I'm not that person anymore. That helps people move past it. The other thing, though, is fears will come up still. And so I want you to think about it from the perspective of thinking, okay, I've got this fear. I've got this thing. I don't want to do this action. I don't want to take this step. I don't want to say that thing because I fear. I've got anxiety. I've got some stress. I've got some whatever around it. So in your head, you need to be thinking, you don't have control over my life. You don't have control over my decisions. Tomorrow, I'm still going to go throughout my day. If I take action on the thing I want or developing the gift or superpower I have that I'm trying to develop, nothing terrible in the world is going to happen. So why am I letting you control me? Why am I letting you hold me back? And so I want you to think about that. It may take a few times to work through it, and that's perfectly fine. So now we're done talking about fear. And I want to get to that superpower. I told you some things about superpower. So we talked about how do you find your superpower? How do you get the things you want? Well, we know that we need to make change and we need to identify who we need to be or become in order to get the thing we want and or to have the superpower. So when you think about superpower, what I want you to do, and I talk about this in my book, I've probably covered it in plenty of videos, I want you to think about what is something that you're really good at. What's your passion? What's a hobby? What's the thing that people come to you for help on? What's the thing that people say, oh my gosh, Jake, he's the best at blank. Whatever that thing may be, fill in the blank. I want you to think on that, okay? And I want you to think about when it's just so natural that it just flows out of you. What could that thing be? It may be that you're great at listening and asking questions and pinpointing what real problems are. It may be that your flow is some other thing. I want you to think about what is it? When people come to me and they ask me complex questions about technology, I can go into a mode where I can just talk through it and I'm like, wow, my brain literally just produced all that information without having to think about it. So what is that thing? What's the thing that you're just like, it's easy to me and it can provide value to other people? Okay? Now what I want you to do is as you think about that thing, as you think about that activity, what are the words that come to mind? What are the emotions? What are the skills? What are the things that start to come to mind? I want you to think of those words, okay? And if you struggle to think of the words, I want you to think about what do others say about it? Like, what would others say about that thing for you? Do you have that word? Okay, that word is the thing that I want you to start to think about and develop towards becoming your superpower. I'm going to read off some phrases. I'm going to look at my screen, so I apologize. And I want you to think about the thing you do really well that gets you into that flow state, the word that you're thinking about that's going to become a superpower. Which of these areas does it connect with? Okay, does it connect with people, processes, or products? Maybe that's what it is. Does it help you to connect, communicate, or collaborate with people? Think on that. Does it help to energize, elevate, or engage people? And then, of course, does it have grounded in like courage, curiosity, or a commitment to something? Now, each of those things is going to be different. So your word, I want you to think about that. Is it that it's relationship-based? You know, there's an interpersonal thing that you're doing. Is it that it's in you're trying to expand your own self and what you do and the greater impact, some sort of a personal thing that you're trying to do? Is it from an organizational standpoint? You know, is it environmental, the people, the process, the products, things like that? Or, I mean, if it's something that you use that you're able to energize, engage, elevate people, that comes from a motivational state. It comes from inspired performance. Okay, so I want you to think about those. That's the superpower. That's the thing. Those are the things that are going to drive you forward. So if your word fits into one of those categories, take it and say, great, well then I'm developing my skills so I can do this thing. I'm developing it for relationships. I'm developing it so I can aspire. I'm developing it so that I can help organizationalize, whatever that may be. And guess what? Sometimes it doesn't fall into any of those categories. That's perfectly fine. So now that you've identified what it is that you want and who you need to be or become in order to do that, and you've now thought of this word that develops to a superpower that fits into possibly one of those areas that we talked about, well, now the real work starts. Because like you're going to stop watching this video and you're going to go about life and you're going to maybe forget about it. You're going to be like, oh yeah, there was that bearded guy that I watched a video on one time. So the real work starts now. And I talked about you need to develop SMART goals. So if you don't know what those are, it's specific, measurable, accountable, realistic, and then timely. Are you very specific about what you're trying to do? Is there ways that I can measure and track and reflect on how I'm doing? You may want to look at a video I've talked about, reflections of daily journals, weekly reflections that I have on YouTube as well. So are you accountable to make it happen? How do you make it accountable? Is there someone you could use as an accountability partner? Is it realistic? Is it realistic to what you want? Maybe it's not. And of course, the timely, by when? What are the things I'm going to put into place so I can start to become who I need to be? Now, I may not have full use of that superpower, or I might have everything that I want, but I know that by this date, I'm on the path because I am being who I need to be in order to achieve those results. What's that timeline look like for you? Now, of course, remember that fear is going to try and creep in. And so I want you to think about yourself. I want you to think about anyone who's watched Ted Lasso. And in Ted Lasso, he has his big yellow believe sign that he puts up. I want you to think about how you believe that thing can be true. How is it that you can make that thing a reality? Do not let yourself stop yourself from being who you want to be. Others might get in the way. Their happenstance, circumstance throughout your day may slow the progress. Don't do it to yourself. Believe that you can do it. So hopefully this has been helpful. And if so, once again, I'd like you to like the video, share it with someone who may need it. Comment, subscribe to the channel, check us out on all the other places, The Giver Method on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Or you can go to thegivermethod.com to learn more about the book that's going to be coming out, our courses, and ways that we help people. At the end of the day, I hope that there was tons of value that you got from this, and I hope you continue to watch these videos and have a great rest of your day.